I got it.
All right, so we'll start over. I'm Richard Lewis Brown, Local 1000 President. Today is July 28th, 2021. I have the VPs here. I have Tony Owens, VP Bargaining, and I have the lovely Annika Walls, Organizing Representation. Our fourth VP, Secretary Treasurer David Jimenez, is in Southern California. I'm sure he's watching. Tonight's going to be a hot night. I know it's on people's minds, I believe. And so we're going to ask everyone to ask a question or speak their mind 2 minutes or less. Let's get started right now. First in line, Michael Gus. Go ahead, Michael.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Number one, I have a comment. The comment is that these meetings should not be posted on the union website in a way that management can access them at their convenience. I understand what you're saying and actually kind of agree with you for the most part about keeping the website unlocked for the most part. But if you want to hear honest truth about our workplace conditions, which is, what I think the purpose of the union is, management needs to not have convenient access to these meetings because otherwise people aren't going to tell you. The previous meetings from people I've talked to are up there. People discussed what happened at their workplaces. I think, that should be put behind a member only login just to prevent management from having that, because I wasn't aware that it would be put up with what I said. And I'm uncomfortable with that. And I hope that you'll consider at least locking just the video portion of the website, because otherwise you're not going to hear, frankly, from us. Second, I have two questions. Number one, did the board of directors authorize the letter that went to the governor? Number two, did you consult with those of us who work in person? And then, since I only have 2 minutes, I'll give my comment and then take your answer. I think that a union stands for solidarity, and that's solidarity for physical and economic well-being of its members. And I understand what you're doing about the negotiation thing, but it shouldn't have been as loud as it was, because the reality is when I step onto an elevator in a building that is not 100% under state control, and there are people who are not vaccinated or who I don't know the vaccination status that are not wearing a mask, my health is in danger, my father's health is in danger, other people who I see's health is in danger. And I think the union needs to put solidarity of physical and economic well-being first. And, fine, you can all have your personal views of a lot of other things, but that was not reflected in that letter, and that's why I'm disappointed by it. Thank you.
Okay, Michael Gus, thank you for your great question and comments. We love to hear that. I was elected to be transparent. That's who I am. We don't discuss strategy. What we talk about is out in the open. Starting in August, you will have a, quote, designated stewards call that Annika will be running on Tuesday evenings. I don't believe that's going to be broadcast live. So you'll always be have the opportunity to go on her steward call and talk about things that you feel management should not hear. Next point you made was about the cease and desist letter. No, I did not consult the board. I think the board's probably too busy right now. They've had plenty of time to reach out to me to discuss giving the money to Lansing County to help those people up there, but they have not done that. So I'm reaching out to them one by one. This situation with the cease and desist letter, our contract was violated. And so we had to move kind of quick because they're trying to force this mandate down of either you be vaccinated or you will be subject to COVID testing. This is wrong. This is a violation of our contract. And I want everyone across the world to understand that Local 1000 has a labor leader, not a politician, but a labor leader, and we're going to enforce our contract. I forgot what else you said, so we'll keep it moving. Let's move on to the next.
Okie dokie. Here we are. We are here on August the 11th, 2021. I'm Richard Lewis Brown, Local 1000. Hopefully you're excited for this evening. It's going to be very interesting. Oh, before I get started, caller is Michael Gus, and then we'll cut it off here. Hello, Michael. Hello, Michael Gus. How are you?
Hi, Mr. President. I finally was able to unmute myself. I appreciate the opportunity. So I think there's a fundamental problem with the vaccination issue. 70% of Californians have been vaccinated. So it stands to reason probably about, maybe it's 68%, maybe it's 73% of state employees have been vaccinated. Vaccines, my grandfather worked for NIH and US AMRID. He was a virologist. He was, Tony Fauci worked for him. Vaccines don't work unless 85% of the people take them.
Okay.
I have a problem. If I get COVID-19, there's a pretty good chance I'll die. I'm going to have to go on a plane tomorrow. I want to do that, but that's risking my life. I love my job. I love going to the office. I shouldn't have to risk my life to go to the office because people read some stuff on Facebook that makes them feel better because, I don't know all the stuff my grandfather knew, but I know some of what he told me, and I haven't forgot that. And, the reality is this is a deadly disease. The reality is that, about 99.7% of the people currently in ICUs and currently dying of COVID-19 are unvaccinated. So vaccines work. The reality is Section 10.25E of our contract allowed the governor to implement the CDC guidance to protect workers, which he did. The reality is, because that's already in our contract, there's no need to do a meet and confer because we already agreed to that term and condition for the workplace when we ratified the contract. And, we who have been vaccinated, and it is the overwhelming, and I commend you for getting vaccinated, it is the overwhelming majority that has been vaccinated. But we can't get back to normal because, and there are people who are disabled or who have religious beliefs that, fine, 15%, that's plenty. But we need to get 85% vaccinated to actually put this pandemic out. And we're stuck at 70% because people are saying it's not FDA approved. Well, the government spent somewhere around, $500 billion on these vaccines between all the governments.
Right.
There have been billions of arms. They're safe and effective. And this union needs to realize the fundamental principle of solidarity, which is the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. And we've heard a lot of petty bickering and arguing from both sides, which is why people who should be members of this union don't pay their dues.
Right.
And it needs to stop. And we need to stand for the greater good. And that means to the 10 or 15% that are, I don't want to get vaccinated, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
The greater good has to prevail because if I die, I can't go to work. And that's what's at stake. And the union ought to be representing my health and the health of other people with conditions like mine. And that's my ask, and I thank you for the time.
Okay, so we're going to end it on that caller, Michael Gus. There's a lot of people with strong passions about taking this vaccine or not. I'm going to go back to the Bible. The Supreme Court had to make a decision about school segregation. The majority of the country said, for the greater good, keep them black kids away from our white kids, since you want to talk about the greater good. And the Supreme Court said no. For the greater good, they said no. And the greater good, the majority of white people in America did not want black kids next to their white kids. We'll stop there. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. All right, my name is Richard Lewis Brown, Local 1000 President. Today, August 25th, 2021, 8:25, the number 33. All right, next caller, Michael Gus.
Hi, Mr. President. Thank you for the time. I want to, instead of listening to you tonight, state that I listened to my union, the duly elected board of directors of my union,
Right.
and I voted no on the recall. And that is the official position of this union and this local and this international. And I voted no, and any officer or staff member that speaks on behalf of the union that implies any support for any position other than no on the recall is violating the instructions of the duly elected board of this union. And our position as a union is to vote no on the recall. And yes, there may be problems with Governor Newsom, but you know what? The leading opponent of him in the recall wants state workers' wages to be $0 an hour. And you think you have it played politically, Mr. President. I have this question for you. After your little protest on the 27th, which is going to be perceived as for the recall, how are you going to bargain with the governor? Because it doesn't seem to me like the best interest of me or the best interest of this union that has endorsed a position contrary to your personal belief. And you can disagree with that personally, but I'm asking you to honor the board of directors' decision and to not do anything to undermine the decision that they made on that very important question. Thank you.
So, Michael Gus, I'm glad you called in. I'm in the spirit this evening. Boy, I'm in the spirit. Michael Gus is bringing up the fact that before they could swear me in on June 27th, the board had an emergency board meeting so that they could give $1 million to SEIU State Council to help this current governor fight his recall. And he also took the official position that Local 1000 opposes the recall. So Michael Gus is 1,000% correct. 1,000%. Michael also now talks about this little protest, which I find a little disrespectful. Because I thought everybody in our union had a voice. And so even though the union has taken this official position that I've never gone against, in fact, on videos I said, the vote of the board I must respect. Now, even though the vote of the board, they didn't go and ask the membership about that. They didn't do a survey. They didn't do that part. But that's okay. Praise God through Jesus Christ. Oh, I'm feeling good tonight. Oh, I'm feeling good. Because the truth will come out. And so now he states that, Michael states that my personal feelings about Gavin Newsom. Well, that's very interesting because I voted for Gavin in 2018. Praise God again. God's good. God's good every day, all day long. And I'm going to keep praising him through Jesus Christ. I voted for Gavin Newsom. I sure did. I put my vote up on Facebook, but people said it wasn't my vote. That's funny that when I put up my vote for Gavin Newsom in 2018, they were quick to dismiss me. Interesting. When I put up my vaccination card to show that I want to have a safe country, they didn't want to believe that either. So, I don't know, Michael. When I show proof of what I'm doing, it appears that no one wants to believe me. I've never questioned the union about this official position once I became president. But I want everyone to hear what he said, because what he says is true. But to call the people from Lansing County little people, a little protest, oh boy, I'm gonna stay calm. I'm gonna stay calm. Don't worry, you were here for a reason. All right, you know what, Michael Gus, why don't you come on down Friday and meet the people from Lansing County and tell them that. In fact, I want you to bring Richard Wake with you too. Yeah, y'all come on down with your protesters and them folks from Lansing County, because they're not all coming on buses. Some of them are coming in their pickup trucks. Pickup trucks. They believe in the Second Amendment. They believe in freedom of speech. Now come on down and tell them that. I want you to tell them that the Local 1000 president who's fighting for them, because they're not little people, I want you to tell them that same thing you just told me, with that same intensity and that same passion. Oh, praise God. Woo, let me go. All right, next caller, Susanna Moran.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. My name is Richard Lewis Brown, Local 1000 President. Today is September 1st, 2021.
Right. So, we're going to get started. My name is Richard Lewis Brown. Today is September 15th, 2021. Good evening, good evening, good evening.
Caller, Michael Gus. Go ahead, Michael.
Hi, Mr. President. First, I want to correct you. from the last time when you claimed I called people little people. Go back and listen to the video. I called your protest little. I walked through it. It was small. There were about 125 people there. I just have, and I walked through it, and I'm calling because I have a question. I had a great orientation meeting with some of the staff that works for this union. And they explained, and I signed up for donating to the COPE Fund, and how people who donate to the COPE Fund get a vote on certain things like endorsements. So if you don't like the way it goes, donate to the COPE Fund, number one. And number two, our union took a position. I walked through that protest that you had in late August. In an SEIU tent, there were yes on recall signs. Everybody knows that at the podium that SEIU paid for, there was a speaker who was wearing a Larry Elder for Governor shirt. Your supporters tell us that we ought to respect the election results of you, but yet you don't respect the election results for the board, and you take actions that are contrary to our policy file and to the stated position of the union by allowing a speaker at that event wearing a candidate shirt that was not supported by the union, and by allowing into a tent that was paid for with our COPE funds, yes on recall signs. And to those that doubt me, I have photos of what I'm talking about. And the board of directors has called a meeting because they're concerned about these kind of actions. When's it going to happen? Thank you.
So let me hold on. You've talked, and so now I'm gonna have to stop you. So put him on mute, please. So let me address Michael Gus. Number one, we enforce our contract. We don't want to see anyone lose their jobs while represented by Local 1000. That's the first thing. Second thing, on our mission statement, I'm looking for it on the wall, our mission statement. I thought we had it on the wall here, the mission statement. It talks about ensuring that all Californians, not just, quote, dues paying members of this union. That's the second thing. Third thing, COPE money was not used for the rally. The rally was paid through the issues PAC. See, I talked about the PAC money earlier, but he missed that part of the conversation. Here's the fourth thing. There was a person, a retired prison warden, and Hunter Angel. He had on a shirt. He was there to talk about the importance of keeping CCC open. He's an American. He can wear any shirt he wants any time of the day. Okay? And when he made that comment about the recall, I quickly got on stage and said, well, nope, that's not what we're doing. Local 1000, we have taken an official position to oppose the recall. I was quick to do that. But maybe, Michael, you missed that part. But it's all on video. So when the board is trying to force an unneeded, unwarranted emergency meeting, because they want to strip me of all my powers and everything, because they can't respect the election results, because I was voted in not just by certain DOCs, but I was voted by the entire dues paying membership of Local 1000. So when you talk about respect, well, first of all, the board couldn't give me the respect when I had the emergency meeting on July 6th. They couldn't give me that respect then. They told me right then how they felt. And then they followed that up after they had sent the police to my house on May 25th, when you want to talk about respect. So do me a favor, Michael Gus, miss me with all that respect stuff. Don't ever try to come on here and try to come for me talking that nonsense. And all those other lies they talked about at that rally saying that I called the police on somebody. I never called the police on nobody, Michael Gus, or any of you other so-called Facebook wannabe know-it-all leaders. Kumbaya.
That's why we're here, and that's why I'm going to ask everybody to recall Gavin Newsom on September 14th.
Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Oh, Ball Lassen County's here. Well, wait. Before we have Sophia Perkins comes up, Local 1000 on June 2nd, the board of directors took a vote. And that vote said to give $1 million, because I'm trying to give you $2 million to set aside. So $1 million to SIU State Council to help this current governor fight his recall. And the second part of that vote on June 2nd was Local 1000 takes the official position to oppose the recall. With that being said, the official position of Local 1000 is to oppose the recall. So you say, well, Richard, why?
Good evening. I'm Richard Lewis Brown. Today is September 29th, 2021. Tonight, Local 1000 listens to you. Before we get started, I got a surprise caller, Michael Gus. Good evening, Michael. Michael Gus.
Hi, Mr. President. Thanks. Sorry about that. I pressed the unmute twice.
Okay.
Number one, I want to say I work in the office every day. There are people who are our union brothers and sisters who work in the office every day. And I respect people who telework and telework well. But my concern with the telework policy as someone who works in the office every day is it creates a two-tiered disciplinary system for people who are teleworking where they can take the telework away from you as discipline. Whereas if I'm in the office, I'm being disciplined beyond that first. And I have a concern about that. I also want to say, I appreciate how you say you're fighting for us, but I'm not sure that you're fighting for us effectively. I Googled Richard Lewis Brown, Gavin Newsom, and one of the first things that came up is Gavin Newsom has lost his mind, which is a direct quote from you. And when you're negotiating with someone, calling names in the press is maybe not that effective. And then maybe if he had lost the recall, which you seem to bet on, that would have been effective, but he won by 25 points. So, there's some things that I think, are realities that you could improve on. And I'll just say that. I think it's always better to treat people with respect, which reminds me, because I think, some of that got caught up from my limited understanding of this, with what happened with the toll booth workers. And I'm sorry I missed the call last week, but I had family matters to attend to. But 2 weeks ago, I called in and asked about the toll booth workers and our brothers and sisters in the toll booth in the Bay Area who are SEIU members were laid off. And you had your thing about the CDCR, which is okay. I mean, they're union brothers and sisters, although they're not members of SEIU 1000 for the most part. But what have we done for our brothers and sisters who are in the toll booth union? Because it seems to me there was a certain agenda in protesting over one thing, and that agenda doesn't exist in protesting over the toll booth workers. And so that's just my 2 cents, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Have a good day.
Hey, Michael, don't hang up for a second. You bring him back? Okay, so I'm glad that Michael called in. I'm gonna talk about the toll booth operators really quickly. That happened before I was sworn in. Now, I don't have that particular email in front of me. I forgot that. That's the one thing I forgot. That happened before I was sworn in. And I don't talk about who signed off on that agreement because I don't want to throw anybody underneath the bus. But if you keep bringing up this toll booth operator, well, then I'll have to find that email and tell you exactly what happened before I was sworn in on June 30th. Second thing, I'm fighting for everybody represented by Local 1000, not just for those up there in CCC. Whether they're dues paying members or not, they are represented by our union. I have been informed that they're trying to do things against those in DMV. DLC President 704, Latasha Brown, has educated me. We're going to fight for DMV. We're going to fight for anybody represented by Local 1000 that's under this contract. Period. It's just that simple. Other part, you talked about me betting against Gavin to win his recall. That's not true. I have said repeatedly, he'll beat this recall. That's what I said. When I said that he had lost his mind, I believe I made that statement before I took office because Local 1000 on June 2nd, 2021, through an emergency board meeting, said that we're going to give $1 million to SIU State Council to help Gavin fight his recall, and the official position of the union is to oppose the recall. When I took office on June 30th, I have never officially opposed that recall. Never have, and you won't find it on video. The
I
other
have
part
photos
about
of
trying to
yes
build.
on recall signs in an
No,
SEIU
that's not
tent
me.
at
That's
that
not me.
protest. So
No,
that happened. I can
Michael.
share the photos. That
No,
happened. I
no.
have photos.
Well, you know what? Then you have to send. I'll tell you what. The staff was at the tent, working the tent. So if you got a photo of someone that came down that said yes on the recall, that was of their own
It was
personal
a
freedom
box of
in this
signs,
great
Mr.
country to say
President.
that. What I'm telling you is this: those signs did not come from Local 1000 with no union label. We did not do that. If you've got pictures, then send it to us. Here's the second thing. There was also rumors that I called the police at that rally. That's a lie.
I
So
never
I'm
said
glad that you
that.
called in because when people, no, not you, but other people are spreading these rumors. And that's why I love when people call in because now I get a chance to address it head on because I know what comes out of my mouth. And I know what I've said before I took office and after I took office. So when people think that I'm loose with my words, you better think again. You better think again. I know what I'm talking about. Oh, now I want to talk about the what you brought up a great point. People who go to work versus those who work from home, telework. We have to make sure in this in this telework side letter agreement that there is no disparity, that people who go to work are not treated any differently, and also the people who work from home are not treated any differently regards to discipline or promotional issues. We have to make sure that language is in there, and I don't want to talk too much, but you have made a great point about that. And then finally,
I'm glad
the
we found
relationship
an
with
area of
Gavin
agreement.
Newsom. Yeah, and wait, and we're going to have another area of agreement. The relationship with Gavin Newsom. And I've said this repeatedly, but obviously maybe you missed it. So I'll say it for you with respect. You know that I don't have a relationship with Gavin Newsom. Okay, fair enough. It's hard for me to make a relationship with somebody that demanded that I give up 2 days of my pay for 2 straight fiscal years, but yet they call themselves union friendly, and I voted for him in 2018. I'm sorry. When you take my money, our little relationship, our little friendship is kind of over. But since I represent 100,000 people, I'll continue to fight and try to work with Gavin Newsom. Here's the second thing. The former president had a beautiful relationship with Gavin Newsom. She has his phone number in her phone. And when she started that telework conversation in September of 2020, she could have easily wrapped that up and got some federal worker essential premium pay. If not from the federal government, because of all the stipulations, she could have got that money from the state budget because she has that relationship with Gavin Newsom. But none of that happened because if she had got telework, permanent telework, along with the essential worker premium pay, I can guarantee you Richard Lewis Brown would not be sitting here right now. That's a promise. But thanks for your call, Michael. Next caller.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Richard Lewis Brown, Local 1000 President. Today is November 3rd, 2021. Hopefully you caught the video this morning. Agreed. It's not very often I can just stop talking after a person talks. Next caller, Michael Gus.
Good evening. I ask that you give me my full 2 minutes and do not interrupt me like you did the last time. I'm a member. I pay $82 a month. I met with my DLC president, who is a great person. And you constantly attack her and abuse her, like you attacked Jonah tonight, like you've attacked me on previous calls, in violation of the SEIU International Constitution and of our policy file. You swore an oath to uphold that. You also swore an oath to not take action that can threaten members' jobs. And you're doing that too. And believe me, I know. And, you know, there's only 60 people on this call because no one cares, because you're irrelevant. And no one cares. People who are leaving the union left and right. You're also a liar. I voted in your survey. And there were dozens of us who voted. Was not 100%. You know that. And I'd like to know, my $82 a month that goes to union dues, how much of that is being spent on lawsuits about your behavior to SEIU staff, including one of our treasured brothers and sisters who was fired during her pregnancy? I'd like to know how much of my money is doing that. And I want to thank the board of directors for taking their action. I think it's inexcusable that our general counsel hasn't ruled on that. It needs to rule on it. The board has the power. They stepped up. We had elections. We and members can vote in them. And they've said enough. And you know why they said enough? They said enough because you're costing us money. You're costing us money. And that's the point, isn't it, Richard? The people who paid for your mailer that went out to 100,000 state employees. How did you afford that on an AGPA salary? I'm an AGPA too. I know what the max is. You can. And you threaten people every week. Have you no shame? In the great McCarthy hearings, that's what I say. Have you no shame? I stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in this union who have been abused and bullied by you. And I say tonight, enough. And I call on you to resign right now.
So, as you can see, Michael Gus is Michael Gus. I put my faith in God and Jesus Christ. He wanted 2 minutes. He got, I guess, 4 or 5. I never interrupted him. You see, I'm not showing you any emotion. None at all. You know, Michael Gus was a guy who called months ago, and he tried to get on me about the human rights community. He was a Jewish man. And I'm laughing because I have a Jewish man sitting by my side here. And the only reason why this Jewish man is sitting by my side is because of Michael Gus. And, you know, I smile. They tell you that I'm intimidating and I'm bullying. And that's all the racist statements they make about black men in America. And a lot of people don't like when I say that. Let's move on to the next caller.
Evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Can everyone hear me? My name is Richard Lewis Brown. Today is November 10th, 2021. Local 1000, we're here this evening. Local 1000 listens to you. It's going to be a fun evening. Moving on to the next caller. Michael Gus. Go ahead, Michael.
Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear. Go ahead, Michael.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate the technical difficulties being fixed. Thank you for your service to the country, and I wish you a happy Veterans Day. But I do have a couple questions.
Thank you, sir.
I watched a video from early October where 2 board members were in your office going through financial documents. And then there was also, after I called in last week, you talked about credit cards that were issued to statewide officers. So my question is, do you have a statewide credit card? And then if we're for transparency, would you be willing to, maybe not, you know, in the public area, and of course with the numbers blacked out, post the bill so the members, those of us who pay our dues, can view that? I think that would be a great step towards transparency. And then the second question that I have is, we've been getting a ton of emails, probably like 10 or 15, about the essential worker premium pay. How many have signed to date? Thanks.
Okay, Michael Gus, first, thank you for wishing me a happy Veterans Day. Second, I want to go back to how many essential worker premium pay petitions we received. Currently, we have over 12,000. To some people, that's a big number. To me, it's not big enough. We need a lot more than that. And we had November 7th for the deadline, then we moved to December 1st to give people more of the opportunity because now we have an electronic version that you can do in a few minutes and it's done. And some people said, you cannot cut it off on December 1st, Richard. As long as those petitions keep coming in, don't you deny their voice. Well, they're right. So we're going to keep collecting these petitions. Now, I want to go back to what you just said, and then I'm going to do some PowerPoint about the credit cards. You know, when you talked about the 2 DLC presidents that came to Local 1000 a few weeks ago, when I ran my mouth for 2 hours. One of those DLC presidents, DLC 786 President Teresa Taylor, has asked for the credit card statements, and I haven't responded to her yet. Because, I'm busy, the essential worker premium pay, the N95, the pandemic issue that will not go away. We're trying to negotiate this great telework agreement with the state of California. It's not going as smoothly as I want it to go. So I'm doing all the major issues. And then you've heard about DMV calling and having problems. You make a great point. And you're the first person to call and say it so succinctly. But you're almost stealing my thunder, Michael. I'm jealous. Those credit card statements for the 4 statewide officers, people would like to know. And so the interesting thing is, it's never been revealed in the past. So what I would say to you, Michael, is give me some time to think about it. I want to make a very thorough decision because you're right. There's only one transparent leader of Local 1000, and you're talking to him. And it's funny because the illegal out-of-order board meeting that they had was non-transparent. They didn't put it on Zoom for us to all watch and monitor. So now that you asked about the credit card statements, I think you're absolutely right. But I want to take some time because I don't want to make an emotional decision. But I smile because, when I do these Zoom meetings, when people come with their questions, I'm always ready. In fact, I'm always ready. Enough said. But Michael, I'm going to take a serious consideration of what you asked for because Teresa Taylor wants to just look at it, in her own private matter. She'll come to the union and we'll sit down and we'll show it. I think what you're saying is it's going to open up a lot of things to a lot of people. But I smile and then I'm going to go to this PowerPoint and then I'll sit back down and do some more questions. When people start asking questions about what I'm doing and how I'm spending with the money, as you know, 51,000 went to help the Lassen rally. 55,000 roughly was for the CalPERS to give out information about the candidates who ran for CalPERS. Okay? So I don't make it any secret, and I'll tell you the numbers. But here's the biggest problem that people are going to have. It's not going to be with me when it comes to the money. People know about the rental car that I have that runs about $900 a month because I'm traveling to work sites and to people on the weekends trying to build alliances. But it's all the things from the past that's going to come out. Now, here's the funny thing. There are certain things of the past that have nothing to do with me that I would say leave in the past and let it go. But I know Annika Walls and David Jimenez and a few other people, they're not cutting anybody any breaks. So I would be careful about asking about me being transparent because I'm silly enough to put it all up on Facebook. Not Facebook. That was a Freudian slip. Put up on our website. So you have to be careful when you ask me to be transparent because when I give it to you, I'm going to give it to you. Remember, I'm Air Force, aim high. All right. We're going live, everyone. My name is Richard Lewis Brown. Today is November 17th, 2021. Local 1000 listens to you. We're going to do a PowerPoint. Hopefully it won't last very long. And we're going to make it a fun evening. Oh, my main man, Michael Gus.
Hi, Mr.
waiting on you,
President.
Michael.
How are
We're
you?
waiting on you. Come on through.
So, number one, you said $440,000, but it was over 10 years, so I did it a little math.
Sounds good.
440,000 divided by 10 is 44,000 a year.
Okay.
Seems like Mr. Gonzalez Koch could use a union because that's not a very high salary.
Nice spin.
Number two,
Mhm.
let me finish and
Okay.
then I'll listen to you. Number two, I think your little speech cost us way more than $360,000. There is such a thing in California as the tort of defamation. This
Okay.
is a lawsuit happy state.
Okay.
I think you ought to rein it in. Number three, if we had effective representation, especially an effective relationship with the governor's office, which we do not, you know, with inflation going up 5-6% and the state having all sorts of money, we might be able to get a raise to deal with inflation. But that's not going to happen as long as what's going on is going on. No, number four,
Mhm.
it's imperative for the board of directors,
Mhm.
which is an equally elected body that's under the Democratic/Republican principle, you know, small d and small r,
Right.
of separation of powers, to be respected. You were not elected dictator of this union.
That's right.
The board of directors was independently elected.
Mhm.
They represent us. I talk to my DLC president on a monthly basis or so. That's their job. They hear from us. They're reflecting what they hear. You may not like that, but they're doing their jobs. And you can't lock certain bargaining unit chairs out so we don't get a raise. You can't do this because it offends you. You can't, you know, try to settle scores when it puts us as an organization at risk of legal action, which is what happened tonight. And there is a provision in the SEIU International Constitution, which I read, and I encourage all the people, Frank Askin and the person who came before me, and I'm sorry I didn't get your name.
Mhm.
I encourage everyone to read Article 17 of the SEIU International Constitution, because they did think about situations like this.
Mhm.
And it's time that I'm going to say right now, it's time that SEIU International President Mary Kay Henry
Right.
step in and you know, mediate this,
Right.
because
So-
this is one of the largest
so you-
locals and we're going down the drain,
So
and it's
let me-
hurting workers
hold on.
and
You've
our
had 2 minutes.
livelihoods.
You've had
Thank
2
you.
minutes. You've had 2 minutes. Thank you, Michael. So let's address Michael Gus. I've been waiting on him to call. First off, you missed last week's PowerPoint. Oh, no, you didn't. You just don't want to acknowledge it. That PowerPoint told you, the people that responded to it, that the DLC presidents are not representing their membership, but you don't like facts. Here's another fact for you. You want to talk about the effective relationship with a governor. Last time I checked, the former president had a beautiful relationship with the governor. It was so beautiful, it cost us 2 days of pay for a whole fiscal period, and we were scheduled for another fiscal period, since you want to talk about the effective, beautiful relationship. That relationship was established before I got here. If that relationship was so beautiful, then why didn't she get the essential worker premium pay that would have guaranteed her reelection, since you want to talk a little bit? You know, Michael, now you want to talk about international. Oh, I've been waiting on that. So, Michael, are you saying that DLC President 744 Bill Hall or DLC 786 President Teresa Taylor, are they getting legal advice from international?
Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that international is interfering with a local's business? Since you want to talk facts. And you talked about lawsuits. Let me tell you something. You may scare people with those lawsuits. You and Kevin Healy, DLC 752 President Kevin Healy, DLC 767 President Richard Wake. Let me tell you something. You may intimidate some people with that stuff. All right? God's with me through Jesus Christ. So bring your lawsuits and do whatever you got to do, because you don't have a ground to stand on. And if you really thought you were so sincere, if I was really doing such a bad job, Michael Gus, then why did you fill out this cope? See, I was waiting on you to show up tonight. See, you do all that talk here on Facebook, but here you are eagerly filling out cope. That's what you're doing. I have it right here in front of me, Michael Gus. So if I was trying to create this detriment, this atrocity to destroy Local 1000, then why are you filling out this cope? Or are you trying to fill out the cope to help Mary Kay Henry to influence her to come get involved in this internal politics of Local 1000? Because maybe you didn't read the charter agreement carefully enough. Because international can't get involved in the local's business. But you want to be the smartest person on Facebook. You and a few other you so-called Local 1000 wannabe leaders. I still love you though. I still love you. And you thought when you came at me months ago about the Human Rights Committee and the things that you said to me, well, let me tell you something. You thought you could roll me. Well, I got a Jewish cat right here sitting next to me, waiting on you too. You heard what he said? He said, that's right. So maybe y'all go to the same synagogue. I don't know. You want to act funny, Michael Gus? You got the right one. But I still love you anyway. And this Local 1000 will stay strong, and I will stay the president. That's a promise. So do your homework, because I know that around the clock, you don't care about increasing this dues paying membership. You don't care about anything. The only thing you care about, along with these other so-called Local 1000 leaders, some of them, is to run me out of office. But I still love you because the God that I serve commands me to love my enemies. Moving on. Next.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Richard Lewis Brown, Local 1000 President. Today, December 1st, as you know, my number is 7437, 4 times 3 is 12. So here we are in the last month of the year, December, on the very first day. I'm excited for this evening's Local 1000 Listens to You. All right. Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Richard Lewis Brown. Local 1000 Listens to You. Today is December 8th, and we got a lot to talk about tonight. You know, last Wednesday night, we talked about the credit cards, and everyone had an opinion. These people who are trying to run me out of office, so when all the people call on her saying, why are the presidents so mean to you? Why are they trying to run you out of office? Well, here's one right here. DOC President 767 Richard Wake. That's who you are. You're trying to run me out of office. You went to the insurrectionist meeting. Did you go in person, Richard? Or did you have Ben Orega go in person for you at the insurrectionist meeting, since you want to talk so much? Keep talking, Richard. You better hang up the phone and move on, or I'm going to hang up on you and move on to somebody else. You don't want this action from me tonight, Richard. No, you don't, Richard. No, you don't, Richard.
You're a chicken and a coward.
Oh, so I'm a chicken and a coward. So now you're calling the Local 1000 president in front of the whole world a chicken and a coward. Here's my address, 3225 43rd Street. If you want to come down and talk to me in person and tell me to my face that I'm a chicken and a coward, because you can't even come to the board meeting in person because you're possibly, I think, maybe it appears that you're the chicken and a coward. I don't know, Richard. So if you want to be so strong and call me a chicken and a coward, then do me a favor, take your presidency back if you really want it. Come down, be a man or a woman or anything you choose to be, and meet me in person at this board meeting on December 18th and 19th. But you don't want this action from me because you know the truth of God is not in you. That's who you are, Richard. Richard.
I would do that.
Yeah,
I would
whatever.
do that, except, you know, know, when
you
it
ain't
came
gonna
to
do
the- when
anything
it
to
came
run
to
your
the-
mouth on Facebook talking about somebody's a chicken and a coward. You ain't gonna
you
do
gonna
a
let me have my
doggone
say or
thing.
not?
Here I am at 1808 14th Street. I come to work every day. I don't telework, but I bet you do because I put the people first. Represented
are you gonna-
employees. I don't telework. I come to work, COVID or no COVID. That's the military in me, but you wouldn't know that. Have a nice day. Next caller. Thank you.
Check in.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. All right. Oh, we got another one. We got another one. Michael Gus. Come on, Michael.
Hi, Mr.
Come on,
President.
Michael.
Hi, how are you? Okay, you let the people who say you're the greatest thing since sliced bread talk for 10 minutes. You know I don't agree with you, but in the spirit of democracy, please let me take the time I need. It won't be a full 10 minutes. Number one, essential worker premium pay. I went and read the federal rule that the Department of Treasury put out. They pay $13 an hour to people who meet their definition of essential worker, up to a cap of 25,000. This is their definition of essential worker. One, essential worker means, and hang on, let me read it. One, essential work means one is not performed while teleworking from a residence. Two, involves regular in-person interaction with patients, the public, or coworkers of the individual who is performing work. Three, regular physical handling of items that were handled by or are to be handled by patients, the public, or coworkers of the individual who is performing the work. So I'm full-time assigned to an office. I qualify. Anybody who's full-time assigned to an office qualifies. And you talked a lot about the PLP. And you talked a lot about the OPEB. I agree with you on the OPEB. But your petition and what you're doing doesn't matter what the governor wants to do or what you want to do. The Secretary of the Treasury, Janet Yellen, made that decision. That's the definition of essential work for those funds that we want to use to pay. Okay, that's going to cost me $25,000, right? That's going to cost anyone who qualifies for that and works in person and is posted in person $25,000 because you're making the perfect the enemy of the good. Now, if you're smart, you could negotiate full-time telework for the people who love telework and essential worker premium pay for the people who can't or won't telework. And that way everybody gets something still. It's a win-win for everybody. And we don't leave some of the other locals in SEIU that represent government workers have premium pay to those workers who meet the definition of essential under the Treasury Department. It's a bad negotiation tactic, and I'm disappointed. Number two, I think we need to really understand, and I want to speak up and defend DLC 794 President Francina Stevenson.
Okay.
I'm a member of DLC 794. I'm not on the board. I receive all the emails of the agendas for, the DLC board meetings. I get all of that. I know when they happen. I don't go to them, but I know. So, she and the people on the board of our local DLC represent us well, in my opinion. I know she's done her steward job to one of my colleagues very well, and he's very satisfied. So I think she's done a great job. Number three, and this is the last thing. There was some mention of HR ones. Now, I'm aware that there's been some HR ones filed against statewide officers, but that they have not had a hearing. And so my question to you, and I'll end this with a question. My question to you is, why have those HR ones that have been filed, and how many of them are there? Because I've heard different numbers. I don't know which one are true. How would I know? I'm just a dues paying member. But I know at least some have been filed. How many are there? And why haven't there been a hearing on any of them? Because I understand there hasn't been a hearing on any of them. And if you're saying, yeah, we really need to hold the DLC presidents accountable with HR1 processes and have hearings about them, but then there's complaints filed against HR1 complaints filed against statewide officers and the hearings aren't happening, boy, that doesn't seem like it's treating people equally to me. And, you know, I think unions really need to be about treating people equally. So appreciate your time. Thank you. Have a good day.
Hey, Michael? Michael? Is he still there? So I wish he hadn't hung up. You know, when I get real quiet on you and I let you talk and I don't interrupt you, I don't ask a question, you know that means I got you, right? So when you're trying to measure on how to go up against me, when I let you talk, I know exactly what I'm doing. You're better off letting me interrupt you. When I get quiet and get real professional, and real dignified, I'm getting ready to give it to you. That's why I'm real calm right now. I'm laughing, chuckling. Let's go back to what he said about the HR ones against statewide officers. Let's cut the BS. He's talking about the HR ones filed against me. I don't know how many. I don't have that number memorized. You think I would? I think there were some HR ones filed against me. And when they're filed against the local 1000 president, it goes to the vice president, secretary, treasurer. He or she will make a determination if those charges hold any merit. I'm still sitting here. It didn't get to the hearing officers. They didn't have to make a determination. And therefore, it never had a hearing, and therefore, after that hearing, it never made it to the board. So he talked about, I said about HR ones. Now, this is how people are. You don't ever hear me talk about recalls or HR ones. Someone called asking information. I believe that was Angela. And I ran it down real quick and easy. And I said, we don't want to do that. But that's not what he wanted to hear. See, he hears things the way he needs to hear it. He sees things the way he needs to see it. But all you got to do is review this video. I just gave the information. I don't want to see no one HR1. And I told you, if you start doing HR1s, I'm the number one suspect. You do a recall, I'm the number one suspect. Because I'm not going to point the finger, because I know that finger is going to point right back at me. But he's real subtle. But this time he didn't come and really attack me. He was real cool with it. You know why he was real cool and real calm? Because he saw how I just dismissed DLC 76 President Richard Wake. And you see how I handled him. So Michael was real cool. Nice strategy, Michael. Nice strategy. But you're not good enough. So then you defend DLC President 794 Francina Stevenson, who wants to strip me of my powers, who went to the insurrectionist meeting. But you, in this free country, have the ability to defend who you want to defend. I respect that, Michael. I respect you. Other people have other opinions about her. That's what makes America so good. You can walk around with the biggest opinion on earth. But let's get to something else he said about the essential worker premium pay petition. See, hello, remember when we did that? Yeah, he ain't looking up. Remember when we did that essential worker premium pay? And remember, I told you something, I threw a fit. I was, oh, wow. He's like, wow, he got wild out of us. I said, no, I know what I'm talking about. So let's read that petition, since Michael wants to be smart, because he talked about the federal rules, and he's right. Even though him and I agree on the OPEB. Now, that's a shocker. But thank you, Michael Gus. But let's go to that essential worker premium pay petition for a minute. Here, I'm going to put this up on the website, because we have a transparent website. It's very beautiful. It's very nice. Very nicer than mine. So here it is. See, when you talk about, in our policy file, it talks about petitions. When you petition somebody, like
when you would have a special board meeting. You know, when they tried to recall this current governor, they did a petition, and it clearly says petition on it. That's what a petition is. It clearly says petition. You don't have to guess. And on the petition, they give you the information. So here is ours. Sign the essential worker premium pay petition. Now listen to this. Essential worker premium pay petition. Petition summary and background. Represented employees of Local 1000. We didn't try to discriminate. Dues paying members versus non-members. We didn't say, well, you know, the CCRAs, they need it more than everybody else. Maybe. But we treat everybody with love and respect. So we say represented employees of Local 1000 and state workers, because we're not selfish. We're the largest public sector leading union in the state. So we lead by example. Maybe not always, but most of the time. Okay. Represented employees of Local 1000 and state workers who are seeking essential worker premium pay from Governor Newsom for working during the emergency order in California amid the pandemic. Action petition for. On the petition, he said what you're trying to do. Action petition for. We, the undersigned represented employees of Local 1000 and allied state workers, because we're all in this together, formally, with respect, formally ask Governor Newsom to act now, not down the road, but act now to provide essential worker premium pay from the, wait for it, $76 billion in state surplus funds. $76 billion in state surplus funds. Where do you see federal in that? So maybe if you read, you'd understand that. And I'm not trying to knock Michael Gus because he came with sincerity in his heart, and I respect that. But Michael, don't you think I'm not sitting back waiting for people like you? Or do you think I just walked up in here just because? Remember, I've told you, I won an election with not one vote from that board. God had to be with me. Because all the smart people, you have your strategy, you have your political alliances. How could I win? Anyway, that's that. That's his answer. He thought he had me, but he doesn't. Next caller. Good evening. My name is Richard Lewis Brown. Today is December 15th, 2021. I'm your Local 1000 president. Tonight, Local 1000 listens to you, as you know, as we always do every Wednesday night. Caller, right. Michael Gus. Good evening, Michael.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I'd like to take a moment and recognize the work that Paul Koch did for this union. I don't think that's been done since he passed. I also want to note that on November 17th, you spent a half an hour trashing him. And the day after, he posted on Facebook, I couldn't sleep last night because I've never been attacked like this. Among other things, you said that he took $440,000 from the union, which is true, but it was over 10 years, so $44,000 a year. I'd also like to address what I believe is your anti-Semitic behavior. Over and over again, after I talk, you've noted that I'm Jewish. Has absolutely nothing to do with what I said. Absolutely nothing. And you're putting the yellow Star of David on me, and I know what you're doing. And it's that trick, you know, it's that trick, and you're laughing at it, but anti-Semitism isn't funny. I have relatives who died in the Holocaust, and if we don't fight back against anti-Semites, it happens again. And you've done it over and over again. I also want to document the fact that you threatened to chop people's heads off in July, that you threatened to run people over with a car in August, that you threatened to fight people in September, that on August 25th, you told me and Richard Wake that we'd be met by firearms if we came to your rally.
Right.
Your behavior, and the Sacramento Bee is right to report on your behavior. Your behavior is unprofessional. Your conduct is unwarranted.
Yes.
Frankly, if you said those things in our workplace, you would be terminated. And the board of directors ought to take action against you because it's not right. We're not being treated with respect. Bigotry is not okay. You know what? You can laugh all you want, but you are a bully. You are a bully, and I will not be intimidated by you.
Okay.
Because
because you are a bully and we know
Right.
what you are. You're a bully with no facts that's after to destroy our union. And thank you, Mary Kay Henry, for acknowledging the validity of our complaints, because
Right.
you posted it all on YouTube and it's
Right.
all there and
Right.
everything that I said is true.
Right.
And you
Okay.
should resign, Mr. President, because
Hey.
you are an embarrassment to the labor union movement. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you for your time. So listen, everyone, tonight we're being positive. Tonight, oh, I'm smiling tonight. Now, all those things that he said in his mind are true in his mind, but in reality, they're absolutely false. If you ever notice when I talk about my belief in God through Jesus Christ and I yell out Ishmael and Isaac, you ever wonder why I do that? Because I'm a Christian, but the two brothers tell me that Jesus is not the Son of God. And so I'm acknowledging them and I'm saying to them that the day you worship on Friday evening through Saturday, you may be absolutely right. And the day I worship on Sunday, that was changed many, many years ago. If you understand the power of the Catholic Church, then you'll know what I'm saying. So, a lot of times people say that, Richard's this and Richard's that. And so let me use a great quote from a famous American. His name, you may have heard of him. I don't know. I voted for him twice, 2008 and 2012. I thought he was going to run the third time. Oh, wait, they have term limits. They have term limits to prevent an abuse of power for the federal government. Oh, wait, the same thing for the California government. Anyway, his name is God, I'm having a hard time pronouncing his name. A Barack Obama? All right. It says, it's important to make sure that we're talking with each other in a way that heals, not in a way that wounds. And so, many people take my words and they twist them around. And they do a really good job of it. But tonight, I'm all smiles, all positive energy. And so when Michael comes on, he's trying to, provoke a reaction. And, he has this method to his madness, and I respect him for it. He's trying to destroy me. And I respect anybody who has a strong passion. And, last Wednesday night, he must have gotten amnesia because we had a great conversation last Wednesday night, but now all of a sudden it's totally flipped. I don't know, but tonight, let me read that for you again. Oh, my president, Barack Obama. It's important to make sure that we're talking with each other in a way that heals, not in a way that wounds. Oh, wait, we have Derek Rogue back on. Come on, Derek. Oh, you know what? No, let Derek go, because I think Derek has something important to say, and then we'll let Sylvia Castro go. So go ahead, Derek.
Hi, Mr. President. Sorry, I had to come back on. I want to follow up on what Mr. Gus just said.
Sure.
Michael, hi, my name is Derek, first of all. I just, I'm having a hard time understanding where you're coming from because I myself am a Jew. Look at that. Shalom Aleichem, my brother. And I want to say something. You're offending me by saying that my president is anti-Semitic because I've hung out with this man. He's visited my work site and shown my people nothing but love. And if there's one thing you're really offending me on, Michael, I don't know how much you practice, and I'm not going to question that tonight. But it is our Jewish obligation to not spread Lashon Hara, which is the negative speaking of the tongue, and to fill this world with Tikkun Olam, to repair it and leave it in a better place than we found it. And by you spreading all these lies, because I've been on these calls, I hear everything you say, Michael. You're offending me. You're offending the Jewish people, your family, me. Let's do something right in the world. Let's make this world better. We don't got to come on here and attack someone. We have a better way to go about doing this, Michael. I'm challenging you tonight. Call me sometime. Speak to me. And let's go out there and spread Tikkun Olam and peace throughout this world. Not come on here and vent. This is not the right forum for that, Michael. And I'm telling you right now, you know where I'm coming from. Thank you, Richard.
Well, thank you, Derek. Listen, tonight It's all about positive energy. It's all about positive energy. Now, to some people, they would say, Richard, why are you smiling so much? What are you up to, Richard? You haven't got mad. You haven't wowed out. You're very calm tonight. You're very collective. What are you up to, Richard? Richard's here to serve you tonight. So let's go to Sylvia Castro. So we'll come back to her. We'll go to Michael Gus. No, we've already talked to him. Yeah. So Michael Gus, go ahead, Michael.
Hi, Mr. President. This message isn't for you. After Sunday, and there were a lot of us who don't support you, and we were intentionally not called on, and we noted that. This message is for the board of directors. My understanding is that there was a letter sent by Mary Kay Henry that, among other things, cited basically daily complaints being filed against you with the International. And among those, and the most serious one, and what I as a member have concerns about, is apparently there's been serious allegations of financial misconduct, that our finance director resigned over ethical concerns. And so for those of you who are on the board, I was executive director of a nonprofit once. And you should know before you make decisions on a budget that the board of directors can be held personally liable for financial malfeasance if they had reason to know that financial malfeasance was going on. We have two very credible sources, including the International Union president, that have mentioned that there are issues under investigation. The financials were not released. That letter, the resignation letter, has not been released. To my knowledge, the letter from Mary Kay Henry has not been released. I don't think board members have seen it. I haven't seen it, but I know of it. And again, I pay $82 a month. We owe it not only to members to spend that appropriately and to review financials in a slow and methodical fashion, not rushed at the last minute. We also owe it to our union staff. Because if you pass a budget that doesn't balance, the union staff will eventually be laid off. And you have a fiduciary responsibility to us as the members to expend the money in an appropriate fashion. And again, if you do not do that and people are harmed, either because the organization becomes fiscally insolvent or because we can't meet our prior obligations, you can be sued. Or if there's fraudulent charges, you can be sued. And I respect those of you on the board, even those of you who spoke, who were called on Sunday, while those of us who do not support you, Mr. Brown, were silenced. I respect you enough to say, do what's right for the organization and take your time. Our financial accountability of the organization is the future of the organization itself. Thank you, and I'm going to mute myself because I'm not interested in talking to you, Richard. Thank you.
All right, so we want to thank Michael Gus for calling in. Everything he said is baseless and has no facts behind it at all. My communications with Mary Kay Henry is up on our website, her letters to me and my response back. I think the latest response that I've responded to her may not have been posted yet, but her first two letters and my response to her the first time, that is up on our website and went out in the email. As far as the salaries and everything, our salaries for our staff here is perfectly fine. There is no financial misconduct. That's baseless and that's actually slander. That's what that is. And since we're talking about financial corruption, I think those credit card charges from years ago kind of speaks the truth on who did what. And that $4,528 the gift from Yvonne to Margarita Maldonado before she became chief of staff, that speaks volumes. And so I would like to reach out to the board and tell them as well, I'm not rushing you. You'll get the financials, the proposed budget as soon as we review it one last time. We will go through this from 6:30 to 8:30 on next Wednesday night. And, you know, I'll probably start earlier in the day talking about these financials with all represented employees, including dues paying members. So everyone will feel like they're part of this process and not just the board, even though the board will vote on this. And we will pass this budget in a timely manner. We won't delay it. We will pass that budget. And even though I'm being told that there's going to be an alternative meeting and that I won't have a quorum, I don't believe that. There's one president of Local 1000 who calls for meetings, that conducts business. Thanks for your time, Michael Gus. My name is Richard Lewis Brown, and today is January 5th, 2022. So I'll say it again. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am Richard Lewis Brown. Today is January 5th, 2022. Happy New Year, everyone. I am your Local 1000 president. So I'm so excited everyone has come on tonight. We are going to do something we talked about before. So let's go, I want to do something different. Normally I call these, I go in order, and I don't want to run out of time because we've been going long as already at 7:44. So I want to go to Michael Gus, and then I'm gonna come back to some other callers. So let's go to Michael Gus first.
So I know what you're doing, Mr. President. And for the record, Derek Roque raised his hand right after me. This is scripted. We know it's scripted. So anyway, hate to ruin the script. But what I want to note is your video on Friday was an embarrassment to all of organized labor.
Okay,
I was embarrassed as a state employee. I have a right to speak. Do not interrupt me, sir. I have a right to speak.
Okay,
your video.
Mute him. So we're not having that tonight. Maybe he missed the opening. We're not having that tonight. He made a comment about Derek Rogue. So we're going to go to Richard Wake, and we'll see if he can do something differently, because we're going to be positive tonight. And all that negativity that Michael Gus was talking just now, I told you tonight's going to be a cold night. In fact, I'm so cold. Hold on a second. I'm so cold. Woo! I'm cold. I'm cold. I can't do it tonight. I gotta put my jacket on. I'm cold. Huh? It's freezing in here. I'm cold tonight. Carl, I'm cold. I'm cold. All right, so let's go to good evening. Good evening. My name is Richard Lewis Brown. Today is January 12th, 2022. Hopefully everyone's having a good start to your new year. Here at Local 1000, Local 1000 listens to you. And so, as you know.
Hi, my name's Mike Gus, and I'm running for presidential elector at the virtual state convention here in Nevada on June 13th. If you're a delegate to the Democratic State Convention, I would appreciate your vote. I'm running for one reason. 4 years ago, I was a voter in Washington State, and we had 4 faithless electors that disregarded and devalued my vote. My pledge is simple. I will vote for the Democratic nominee because I believe we need a president who will tweet less and listen more and wear a mask. I'm Mike Gus, candidate for elector. Vote June 13th.